Hey, Guru Nation, welcome back to the Clinical Trials Guru and also iTunes. This is episode 101, I believe. Pretty sure. So I've got Kai. Kai works at a CRO. Kai is based out of North Carolina, right?
Yeah, East Coast.
East Coast. And project specialist. I got that right?
You got that right.
Ooh. Only like 1 minute removed from you telling me what it was. Not bad.
That's all right.
I almost
That's all
screwed
right.
it up. So what is a project specialist?
A project specialist is a position that is typically the right-hand person of the project manager. They can go by any type of title at many other CROs. They may have project coordinator or project management assistant or something like that. Right-hand person to the project manager, pretty much.
PMA. By the way, project manager, you know this better than I do. Dude, in my opinion, the hardest, most underappreciated job in all of research. I think maybe study coordinator, you can argue that, but PM, right up there. Like, I have no idea how they do it or why they do it. Why do they do it?
They run the whole study pretty much. I mean, the project directors are obviously higher than them on the totem pole, but they're not really in there in the details. Like, project directors are assigned to so many different studies, like 8 or 9. They can't possibly know the details. So the
you
project
have a project
manager.
director. What's the difference between project director, project manager, and then like what you do?
So the project manager is basically the boss of the study. Like, everything runs through them. They make a lot of the decisions, the day-to-day decisions, and the long-term decisions of the study. The director, and I could be kind of wrong on this, but it seems like they are the liaison between the project manager and the study and the executive team. So that's kind of how I understand project director. And then what I do is I'm the project specialist or project coordinator, however you want to say it, and I'm the right hand person of the project manager. So the project manager could say something like, like set up the TMF or something, or set up the shared mailbox, or
so you
send
would
out,
do that.
Right. I would do the actual like dirty work, I guess you would call it.
And I'm imagining there's a process for that, right?
Yeah, there's a process for that.
But at a smaller CRA, you're like someone just like you in the same position. If they were given that task, like, they'd have to create that process if there's not a process, right?
They'd have to create that process. I mean, I don't even know I don't know how smaller CROs would even work, if they would even have a person like that. They might have someone doing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
They might have a project manager doing all those things.
Yep.
But definitely at a bigger CRO, I mean, it's typically the entry level, like, starting point is the position that I'm in.
Is it pretty straightforward, or is it like stressful?
No, there's definitely a huge learning curve. I would say with my position, definitely a huge learning curve, because you've got to know the CRO's way and, like, the culture, as well as, like, the individual tasks if you have no background in it, and also all the terms. There's so many terms and acronyms that you have no idea of. Even if you come from, like, a bench research background or even like a medical or nursing background, there's so many terms that are peculiar just to clinical research that you have to get familiar with.
Okay, interesting. So, because looking at what a PM does, and I have a startup CRO, but essentially myself and Chris and just a few, like, handful of people are the ones setting up all these things. Like, our TMF is Intralinks, and we have, like, CTMS and all that stuff. But it's much more structured where you work, and that's why I wanted to get you on to just kind of go through some typical day-to-day things that you would do. Let's say when you so are you involved, like, throughout the study, or are you just starting up studies?
So every person is going to have a different background depending on what studies they're allocated. So I don't pick what studies I'm on. It's someone else, like a resourcing person, that picks what studies you're on. So you could ask somebody else in my position, and they could have a totally different skill set per se than I would have. So that's the first thing. My experience, I have experienced closeout and startup. They say startup is typically the hardest.
Yeah.
And that's just basically the hand I was dealt with resourcing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, more apt to startup, and that's just what my experience is in.
It's got to be the hard. I have a former student who has an interview tomorrow for, I want to say like an in-house CRA or like a TMF specialist or something. It sounds like what you do. So this is like perfect for him because he's got his interview tomorrow. So I told him, make sure you go study up, brush up on essential documents, because that's essentially like you've got to know everything about essential documents. Is that correct?
Right.
Am I missing anything?
Let's see. I mean, it kind of depends. I would think the essential document part would probably go on more towards maintenance, because in the startup part, we're just kind of setting up the project management plans, communication plans, TMF plans. The sites aren't really doing much during that time. So once the sites get activated and activation happens, and this is more during the maintenance phase, I guess, where you would put all that stuff into the TMF. So that's when you'd really want to get more familiar with it. But each company has different titles for different roles. Like in-house CRA isn't the same everywhere. Some in-house CRAs are more like TMF people. Like the CRAs will just send them documents and then put it in the TMF. Where at other places it's more like monitoring, where they're like remote monitoring, and like they may do like PSSVs or something over the phone. Especially if a sponsor has a good relationship with a lot of the sites.
Yeah.
They'll oftentimes say like, okay, we don't need a CRA to go on site. We can have them do it remotely.
It's it's so different. So having a startup CRO, and then I've worked as an independent contractor for 2 other small CROs, one currently still. It's a really good gig, so I got to keep it for now. But
of course.
It's so interesting how, and I've never worked for a big CRO, but I've interviewed people like you, I've talked to other people. It just seems like so much more compartmentalized. And then of course I'll get the question from students, what's better? Should to start out, should I work for a smaller company? Should I work for a larger one? My answer has always been the same, like go for the first one that takes you. Doesn't matter
exactly.
Who it is, just go for that one, right?
Right.
And then,
but
there are pros and cons to both. And you're at a big one. Have you ever worked for like anyone else?
No, but I have had experience somewhat. I've interviewed for a smaller one before, and I will say this. So with the smaller one, you're going to get a lot more experience because they have less people, so you're going to be wearing a lot more hats. But on the downside, you're going to get paid less usually.
And it's less secure, right? A little bit less secure.
A little bit less secure. I mean, there's so many studies now. I'm sure everybody can eat a little bit, but but I mean that's the pro there is like you're going to get a lot more experience. You might rise up the ladder a little bit quicker because you're going to just have so much more experience, and there's just so many less people there. But at the big CRO, you're typically going to get paid a little bit more. But like you said, your role is going to be a little bit more compartmentalized. You can get stuck in an area.
Yeah. Both entry points. If you transition to the other type of company, so let's say you start out at a small CRO and they have you do not just project management assistant stuff, but they'll have you do like TMF. They'll have you do startup specialists, like those kind of things, right? That you'll never get at a big CRO. Right? So you're learning all those things, and now you can go to a Par Excel or a PPD or whatever, quintiles, right? And they can put you in any, so like you're more adaptable now. You can actually apply for like 3 positions or 5 positions as opposed to just 1 before. And if you start out at a big CRO, you can go to a small one, and they'll probably train you on how to do the other stuff too, so it's probably not that big of a negative consequence of doing it, but you can only really apply like for one job. So I think there is some definite pros and cons there, and it's just interesting to see what people choose. I just say go for the first one that takes you.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that now because man, it is so competitive now. Even last time I was on here, I think it's gotten more competitive, and I think that was all the way back in March was the last time I was on here, and it's just gotten so much more competitive. It's crazy out here.
You would think they would let up, like these hiring managers. You would think that they would ease up a little because of the huge demand, and I wrote this article. Actually, I had someone write it, but I have a ghostwriter at times, but
Right.
she actually did good research on this. Like clinical trials exploded in the last year. Like
It
the number
did.
of studies went up like 10x, something
Right.
crazy like that, and they don't have the CRA or the manpower to handle all of that. And so, how are they going to do that? They have to promote from within, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So, and I think that even in 2018, it's supposed to be a lot more trials coming to the market as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you see it even at large CROs. There's times where you just don't have the resources to do it, to and to move forward in the trial at a reasonable time. Um, I mean, I don't know what the holdup is really there, or why that is the case.
What's been
But
what's been the experience? So we're not gonna mention where you work, but are you sensing that they are trying to keep the employees happy where they are? Because turnover is a huge issue, right?
yeah, yeah, it is a huge issue, particularly I would say in the monitoring area, like CRAs. It's probably a
Mm.
bigger issue, just because once you get experience, there's just so many different roles, and there's always recruiters hitting you up. Like I remember some of my friends telling me like there's not a day that goes by that they don't get a message from a recruiter
Yeah,
trying to lure them somewhere else.
yeah. This is
Um,
true.
and they use all type of tactics. I've heard of them like offering like Beats headphones just to interview.
Really? For
Yes,
CRAs?
yes, for
I gotta do
CRAs.
this. I gotta get into
ten
that.
ten thousand dollars sign on bonus, $20,000 sign on bonus.
I've heard of
They
those.
they have all kind of ridiculous perks that CRAs get.
Hmm.
Um,
But you don't get
like
that. You don't get that till like the end of your first year, because you can't
right,
just go sign on and then like the next day you're like, all right, I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna go
right,
somewhere
right,
else.
right, right, right. Yeah, they'll stagger it or make you wait a
Yeah.
while for it.
Yep. Golden handcuffs. But the Beats by Dre is a great strategy, man. I might do that.
It is. I don't. So
I
I
haven't
don't.
gotten those.
I mean, I wouldn't know it about any other like. I mean, I guess I would know project management. I don't see too much turnover there.
You don't in
I
the
don't.
PM
Just
space.
because in order to move up in project management, you need years of experience. Like it's gonna take like about 3 years to move up
So
to be a project manager.
you work closely with project managers.
Yeah,
Are
very
they
closely.
are they like do they start out as CRAs that just get sick of traveling, or from your experiences, what is a project manager? Like how do they get started?
Uh, all different ways. Any honestly, I mean,
So
I
there's
knew
no
one
cookie
lady.
cutter approach like
Absolutely not. I knew one lady who started out in resourcing, and I knew one lady who started out in HR, who became a project manager.
huh.
People start from the entry level position and just rise up. Some people don't want to travel, so you can either go be a CRA if you do want to travel. You can go to site ID. You can go to study startup, be a study startup specialist. I mean, you can do anything once you get your foot in the door. But I mean, most people, if they just want to like bounce around different departments and try different things, sometimes people just come to project management
Are
because they like it.
project managers home based?
A lot of them are, but they do have some office-based ones as well. But a lot of them are home-based.
They are. And are you home based?
I'm not home-based.
Okay, so you got to show up to the mothership every day.
I do.
And how's
Which is,
that? What's that like?
well, I will tell you, like, one of the best networking ROIs is not being home-based, especially in an industry that is heavily home-based.
Yeah, interesting.
Just running to people, like, in the coffee room or just in the lunch area. I mean, you'll meet all types of people, like executive directors of different departments.
Really?
Yes, like very high up level people just in there getting coffee. You just start a conversation with them. Next thing you know, they know your name and stuff.
And do you hit them up on LinkedIn too? Like, hey, I'm gonna request you on LinkedIn.
I mean, I can, but I can just go to their office.
Oh, I see. So how's that set
Uh,
up? Like cubicles? Like I'm very intrigued by this being like a mostly startups. I
right,
visited Quintiles here in San Diego, a couple
right.
other CROs, but like I didn't think the culture was all that great. The people didn't seem all that thrilled to be there. What?
Yeah,
But you're right there in the heart of it all.
right. So basically, it's set up cubicle style. Maybe project managers and project directors will have offices, but it'll usually be like more than one person in an office, but everyone else will be in a cubicle.
Okay.
I don't really know how the other floors work, but all of my floors, people in the project management area.
And what's the other floors? Like you're in the project manager floor, or what floor are you
Yeah, the
in?
project management floor area, um, which is pretty much the whole floor. Other floors could be like you'll have like data management in an
Ah,
area. I mean, different departments are different sizes, so they may
medical
not need a whole
monitors.
floor. Right. I mean, that's a small department.
Okay.
So you'll have medical monitors, just all the different areas. You'll finances, uh,
Interesting.
yeah, marketing. You'll have all
You ever
different.
meet the CEO?
I've seen him before,
Yeah.
but I mean, he travels all the time. So
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. I guess there are perks to working at the office.
Oh, big perks. I don't think people talk about it enough, especially in
Because
our
everyone wants to
industry.
be home based.
Everyone wants to be home based,
And I feel like
and a
everyone
lot of
wants to
people
do
are
it
home
because
based.
they think they'll work less if they're home based.
Well, I mean, studies show you actually work more because you can log on earlier. You don't have to commute, and people end up staying on the computer later.
Hmm.
But yeah, as far as networking and internal networking, not being home based is really good.
Yeah, I feel like home based is like a trap. Like, it seems like no one's watching, and so you can like work in your pajamas. But when they when they can't see you, what they do, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what they'll do is they'll just give you so much work that there's no possible way you can slack. And so if you just don't get the job done, it means you're not working, right? Whereas when you show up to the office, it's a little different, right? Am I wrong there?
I mean, so my all of the people I work with are global. Like I don't work with anybody in my office really. So like even my line manager is not based in the USA. Like
Ah,
she lives somewhere else and she lives
okay.
in Canada. So I don't really have anybody work like looking over my shoulder like when I'm working or
Interesting.
anything.
So your manager is actually not in your office.
Right. Or anyone I work with or any of the other project management
Interesting. So what's
or
the
any of
point
the
of
other
having
team
you
members.
go? What's the point of having you, or did you choose to want to work in the office?
No, I didn't choose because if I had the choice, I'd probably be home based. But but I'm just now understanding the benefits of not being home based,
Right. Huh.
and they're just starting now to pay dividends.
Yeah. I
So I
wonder
mean,
if
but
they
I'm
figure.
basically am home based. I just go to the office.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
are you salaried or are you hourly?
uh, both.
Both.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I am salaried, but obviously, if I work overtime or something like that, then I get an hourly
Mhm.
portion.
Mhm. And how long have you been doing the project specialist?
Over a year and a half coming
Okay.
up in December.
And this was your first job right out of school, or you had something else?
Yeah, first job, first like big boy job.
Wow. Wow. So you know nothing else but Big CRO and clinical research. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of I was in bench research in undergrad.
Okay,
I
like
did that for
Jenny
like two and a
from
half years.
yeah, Jenny has this blog, Bench to Research. I don't know if you read
hmm
it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I saw the interview with her.
yeah, she's really cool. I gotta do another one with her.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah, she's an in-house CRA, I think.
hmm
I don't remember. They have something. She works for a smaller CRO, and they call it something else.
Okay. Yeah, but basically in-house CRA role.
Basically, it's an in-house CRA. Yeah, interesting. And so you're just getting started. You're gonna be climbing the corporate ladder. Like, what's your goal? Do you want to be a project manager?
I could see myself eventually being a project manager because they just do so much and they like really craft the arc of the study. And I think it's cool for the right person. I can see why people want to do it.
Mm.
Um, but I think right now I definitely do want to travel a lot. I would love to be a CRA
Oh,
right now. I'd love to
CRA.
monitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So I
think.
think I mean it's a good job. I think it's probably actually the perfect millennial job because you're remote, you travel all the time. It's almost like running your own business because
Yeah.
you're in charge of yourself. You're independent.
And the money's good.
The money's good. You
It's
can't
just tough
complain
to
there.
balance work-life balance. Like, I think if I were a bachelor, well, I would never not be a business owner. But different, like, parallel universe. I start over. No, I can't be a business owner.
hmm
Obviously, I'd do research because that's what I know, and I'd probably, like, prior to getting married, just 10 years of CRA road warrior work, like put me on the road 100% of the time. You
Exactly.
make bank, man, and you
But
get to visit cities, and you're young, so you still have energy. That's
and
cool.
you're the best thing about it is you're not only are you making good money, but you're making money in the reverse by not spending your own money. Because if you're on
That's
the
right.
road,
You're living in hotels. You don't even need a house,
exactly,
right? I wonder
exactly.
if there's any CRA actually. Now I'm gonna try to look for this. I guarantee you, there's a CRA or two or more that don't even have a home, that just do 100% monitoring, and then maybe on the weekends they'll like Airbnb it somewhere.
I I could see that happening, or maybe they just have like a dump or something that they just throw their stuff at, and like I have a bed for the weekends.
Wow.
That's or yeah, that's the smart way to do it.
That would be.
And
After a while, it would get old, though. I think it
yeah,
would get old. What's the norm? The norm is like 60% travel. They say that's what,
no, 75.
70. Yeah, I have one of our CRA Academy instructors. She's a senior CRA, and she's like, she goes on six. Actually, she's a project manager now, but she
Hmm.
was a CRA, and that she's doing the PM because she doesn't want to travel. But she was down to like 60%, 65%. But it was, even that was too much. So it does get old after a while. But
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
yeah, yeah. So that, I guess that would explain the turnover. And then what? Like most of them end up becoming lead CRAs
Yeah,
or
lead
project
CRA
managers.
or project managers. A lot of people do make that jump to project manager. I'm curious how the learning curve is there because I mean I guess the lead CRA is pretty knowledgeable, but like project management's like a whole different ball game.
Totally different. Yeah, you get into budgets, right?
Yeah, budgets.
Do you get
You
into
have
any
to.
budgets like with what you're doing?
Um, so that's one of the good things that okay, I haven't to answer your question, but I could. That's one of the good things about the place where I work is they seem to really advocate you like taking on more responsibilities and
Ah,
asking about things. It's not like okay, that's not your job. You can't know about that. They're not about
interesting.
that. And I think a lot of that stuff really depends on your manager as well, like what they're willing to expose you to and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've like seen it a little bit. I've seen some of the tools they use, but I haven't like done it myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're on the trajectory to. You could be a CRA. I mean, that's how CRAs get started, or some start at the site level, right, and then work
Right,
their way up that way. So
right,
just like two parallel paths, right?
right,
Either
right,
go
right.
like the PM assistant, clinical trial assistant, or the in-house CRA, or the trial master file, or you go this route, study coordinator. And I don't know which one's better. I'm partial to the study coordinators because I think if you work at the site, you're going to learn a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, literally everything, especially if it's a small site, which can then be translated into CRA stuff if that's what you want to do. And it seems like most people want to get there. That's like their finish line.
Right. And yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm obviously partial to the project management side of things
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
that's how I got my start. But
Bless your heart, man. That stuff is no joke. With the 1 p.m., I got so much respect for project managers after my very first CRA gig with a small to medium size CRO. They weren't actually small. They were, I would say, they were a mid size. And dude, the project manager, and he looked like he enjoyed it.
a lot of people do. I mean, it's just different people like different things.
I was getting stressed out just like looking at his workload. I was like, how is this? But I guess people would think the same of me. Like, how do you run all these sites? And I guess it's like whatever you like to do is you'll find a way to make it happen.
Right. And yeah, that's exactly right.
Crazy, man. Find out who you are. What does Vaynerchuk say? You're a fellow Gary V fan. Know your, what does he say? Like know yourself.
Self awareness.
Self awareness. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
I
gotta
love Gary
know.
Vee.
Yeah, he's awesome. Hey, his shoes sold out. I couldn't get them, but I got free shoes.
You want some free shoes?
I got free shoes, so I ordered his one of the ones, like the twos, I guess. The first day it came out,
Uh
and I
huh.
paid for it. They took it out of my PayPal. Then the next day, I got an email from K-Swiss. Hey, we're sorry. You're gonna get a refund, and here's $100 gift card to kswiss.com.
What?
So I got the same shoes, just not the Gary V's. But they're actually, I prefer that color better because wouldn't wear green. But these ones I can actually wear. They're like the black ones.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought he. So why did he only have green?
So his colorway was green. That was like his shoe, but it's the same shoe as like his ones or twos is like, they didn't make that just for him. They already had those
Oh,
models. It's just they gave
oh,
him like a special color, and then they gave him like a little like thing like the cork laces
right.
and like the crush it on the. I don't know what they wrote, but it's the same shoe.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought like that was literally like his shoe, and that was it.
No, no, they had
Oh,
it. So
okay,
I basically bought like I got a free pair of shoes, which
okay.
was pretty
Wow,
cool, man.
that is pretty cool.
But yeah, self awareness. He's big on that, and I think that's the same in research. Like you got to know what you want to get out of it. I tell all the students, there's so many different ways you can go about this. Like they always ask me, like, what should I do? I say I have no clue. Like, what do you want to do? You got to go get in the academy, learn this stuff. We're gonna teach you all of it. And then you pick what you like and you do that. And I'll show you, once you figure that out, I can show you the path I would take if I were
Yeah,
you. But again, that's just one path. You can do like 20 paths.
right. There's so many different paths, so many different positions that people don't even know about. But once you get in, you'll learn more about the different positions and the pathways you can go.
Hmm.
There's so many good roles out here, not just CRA or project manager or whatever.
It's a
There's a lot of good roles.
great industry to be in. Seemingly, like Forbes always has it top five career wise.
Yeah, yeah.
Like every year, top five. Seems to be relatively secure from like market and economies. I mean, I was around during the Great Recession, like I was working,
Hmm.
and I don't remember CRAs getting laid off. I remember acquisitions after, like M&As, and then people getting kind of pushed out. But they always got jobs. Like months later, they got another job. So it's pretty recession proof. And at least for the time being, now with AI coming out, who knows? But that's 10, 20 years from now. So we're good.
Hmm.
We're in a good space.
Yeah, I think so too. Not to mention like the fact that people are actually getting helped by what we're doing
Hmm.
on a daily basis, and it's bettering the lives of people. So
And
that
Kai,
that's always
take
something good.
take 5% of your paycheck or 3%, whatever you can afford, and buy Ethereum or Bitcoin.
The theory. You know, I believe in blockchain, and like I think it will be like one of the
Big
most
time.
transformative things. But I don't really know too much about the Bitcoin versus Ethereum stuff.
Yeah, just get both. I don't know either.
Uh, but why?
It's excellent returns. One of them's gonna give you huge returns, and maybe both.
Okay, so you don't know which one, but one or the other.
Yeah, I think it's like the .com bubble in the '90s.
Yeah.
Well, I was still in high school during that, but I remember people talking about it. Like, if you had a .com domain name, you would go public, and then you would raise all this money. But 99% of those companies were scams. But
Right.
guess what? Google is around, right?
Hmm.
Amazon's around. They were part of that bubble. So I see the same thing with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then all the other ones, right?
Yeah, there's so many of them. That's the thing. I don't like. I know Bitcoin and Ethereum are like the probably like the two of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And but I mean, doesn't Bitcoin didn't it just go down a bunch, like a
It went
thousand?
down a bunch and I bought more. It went down to 5,500 and today it's like at 82, 83.
Wow, bounced back.
Yeah. Big
Um,
time. That's the
but yeah,
future and there's a lot of health
I believe that.
applications. A lot of health.
I definitely believe it's the future for sure.
Mhm.
And I'm definitely like I love it. I love the fact that blockchain and the fact that it can take money away, like take power away from the big banks,
Mhm.
and kind of like put more power in our hands,
And
in each person's hands.
from like medical record perspective, because in research, like the main application of blockchain will be medical records or like images or stuff like that, like
Hmm.
source docs, I guess protected information. And there's no better way to secure those things than the blockchain. So that's where those applications come into play. And then if you layer a currency on top of it, like you can only access this service if you pay for it in this currency. I mean, I can see something like that taking off.
So do you think? So you think more and more companies will be built on top of it,
On
on
top of the
top of the block?
blockchain, yeah. Yeah. I just
So that could.
interviewed Joe from Metadata, and they're looking into it. I guarantee you, the CROs that you're around, because I already
Mhm.
forgot which one you work for, but like one of those five, they're looking into it. It's here, man. It's the future.
Yeah, I'm rooting for it. I really am. So we'll see. I got some friends who are out on the West Coast who tell me to put money in it, but I don't exactly understand it enough yet to
Yeah,
know.
I'm with you, man. I just started recently, but yeah, just get familiar with it, and it's here, man. It's here to stay. So thank you, Kai. We'll have you on again, man. We'll have you
For
on
sure,
in
for
a couple
sure,
months, okay?
for sure. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Dan, for having me on. You've given me so much value. I've been watching you for like a year, and I guess pretty much since I started it over a year and a half ago.
That's
So
crazy.
I
Wow.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
I was watching you back when you had like 1.5K
Wow. Yeah, they grow
subscribers.
slow in this
Slow and
vertical,
steady.
man, but they do. Yeah, it is steady. Yep. LinkedIn's huge for us
Okay.
researchers. So
All right.
LinkedIn's probably like the biggest, like the first place you want to be. And you're on there. You're pretty active on there. So
Yeah, I follow you on there and I comment on your articles
yeah,
sometimes.
thank
So
you for that. I appreciate it, man. And you gave me some energy today because I got like 30 injections. We're gonna get into that later. I'm not sick, people, but I'm just doing this because I like to experiment on myself.
yeah.
So yeah, I was like got lethargic, but this interview got me back into it. So thank you, Kai. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll have links to Kai's contact info down below. Be ready to get bombarded with job requests, Kai.
All right.
How
I'll
did
be
that work
ready.
last time? You came on last time. A bunch of people reach out to you, or not that
Yeah, I
many?
think about 4 or 5 people did.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
like 6. Like 3 people LinkedIn, 3 people emailed me,
Oh, not that
and
much.
I
Okay.
reviewed their resume and helped them out. I mean, that was more than I was expecting.
Okay.
Um,
All right. That's good.
but yeah, if anyone wants me to check out their resume, I'm happy to do that.
Wow. Generous.
Yeah.
I would take Kai up on that.
So yeah, see if I can help you out, offer some
I,
tips or anything like
I
that.
see a coaching career in your future, Kai. You're gonna
Hey,
be a
we'll
Phil
see.
Jackson. Phil Jackson of project managers.
We'll see. You never know.
Good stuff, Kai. Let's do it, man. We'll talk soon. I appreciate it. Take care, Guru Nation. Bye bye.